It's the beginning of the end of Endwalker. This is the Carbuncle Chronicle. Hello, adventurers, and welcome to the Carbuncle Chronicle, your podcast for everything awesome in Final Fantasy XIV. Hello, I'm Basil, and I play a Lalafell summoner named 4K Ryusuke on Leviathan.
I'm Anna. I play a Lalafell dancer bard on Leviathan named Cormier Ryusuke. So lately I've been living in Crystal, playing an alt, so yay.
And I'm Tobias. I play Nanawai Silvestri, a Lalafell paladin, sometimes trigonometrist, geometrist, thanks to my mentor Thalia over the past month.
Hi, I'm Mippa. I play Framboise Zakuro on Crystal Data Center on Matea's server, and I am a white mage main.
Nice. Yes.
We got a whole light party today.
I'm the combo
That's
breaker.
right.
Yeah.
You might have heard Mippa's lovely tones in an awesome interview earlier we did this year, but we discovered when we were planning for that interview that Mippa was a fellow 14 Secco like the rest of us.
We actually met at FanFest.
We did. I got so excited when John told me about you, and I was like, wait, she going to FanFest? We got to meet her.
Yeah, so that was exciting.
It was. And I know that I want to bring you on a more RP, talk about role-playing in 14, but we were like, we got to do a patch one. Who should we talk to? And we already felt bad that we didn't drag you on our variant dungeons episode because I didn't realize that someone could be a Hancock stan until I met you.
Oh,
And
I'm not the first, but I am definitely one of the most
Vocal.
for sure. I definitely want the Hancock. He's my boy. He's my boy. He's my nasty, nasty boy.
I love his character. Like, I really didn't like him, when we first met him, and then as we've gotten to know him more, especially with the variant, I was like, yeah, I like him, and I love his and Tataru's dynamic. Like, they're so fun.
Oh, they're great. No, he the character type he is. It cemented the variant dungeon cemented it for me, but I always enjoyed him because I'm like, oh, you think he's untrustworthy, but he's actually like your bro. And I love that character type to death because it's easy for people to hate him, but they're wrong.
Right.
Hate him. Like, well, you can hate him, but you'd be wrong. Because he's actually your bro.
Well, I really like how the game plays it. After everything that happened at the end of ARR, like you go with the assumption he's going to be like a bad guy. You have to trust. But the game like flips that around through, like you mentioned, with Tataru's sort of antagonistic relationship. It keeps him in check, and I think that makes him a likable character, despite, or maybe because of, like you said, because of that early relationship.
Yeah. Like, I think it's the whole, like, he's going to help, but, he's going to profit off the side. And you can't blame the guy. Like, business is business. Got to make a living. Not everybody, can go save the world. So, like, but you know what? He's upfront about it, though. He's not.
Yes.
He doesn't, like, try to pull one over on you. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to help you, but, I'm going to profit off you too. It's a symbiotic relationship.
After all, that's what Tataru does as well, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was a case of I have my character, and I have a little backstory for my character, and then my character hates the Syndicate. And so, while I'm playing the game, in the back of my brain, I've got like my little 4K Ryusuke filter going on. Is sort of my character are chiming in at times, and so whenever anything remotely Syndicate happens, he doesn't like it. And Hancock's a member of part of one of the companies that formed the Syndicate.
And so the Kill Bill sirens go on, right?
Yeah. Well, and it just took a while, and it was really the variant dungeons where finally, my character finally reconciled. Okay, you're not the actual asshole Lalafell that's in charge. You're just the poor retail guy who's trying to do his best. And you're a gigantic goober. All right, you know what? This is fine.
You can definitely relate to all of those things.
That's true. I was actually that's something I wanted to add on, is that probably my favorite thing about him is the fact that he's a weeb.
Yes.
The way that he relates Kagane to you reminds me so much of myself in my 20s. I lived in Japan for 3 years. Oh yeah, this steak is great, but it's not as good as the beef I had in Japan. He's just like, you wouldn't understand unless you knew the language, but that sort of.
You need to meet a friend of ours. He cannot go to a Japanese restaurant outside of Japan and not be like, "Ugh, this is just not as good."
Right, exactly. And so it's the cringe, but it's the I remember you. And so part of me is just like, I feel in some ways like Koji Fox did a little bit of I think he channeled his early years of living, or any I don't want to say foreigner, but any, non-Japanese individual on the team was just channeling their, early expat experience.
Oh yeah.
And that's my favorite thing to focus on whenever I'm writing fanfic or something with Hancock, is him talking about, oh, you can't do this. That'll make you appear too much of a foreigner. You need to do this. And and some of my favorite, we should move on though. I will talk about Hancock the entire podcast if you let me.
But I did want to know, how did you get into Final Fantasy XIV?
So I never got to play video games pretty much in my youth. My parents considered video games to be a waste of time, and anything that's a waste of time was not really allowed in my house. All my hobbies had to contribute to my marketability as an adult in the future. One of those types of households. So the only video game I was allowed to play when I was younger were either those little Tony handheld games, or I did have, for car trips, the Sega Game Gear, which ate the crap out of batteries. But those are the only games that I was really allowed to play. So when I moved back from Japan and I moved in with my husband, with my now husband, he had a PlayStation 3 at the time. And, my friends were always, my friends all throughout my youth all loved Final Fantasy, and I was really into the music. I got to enjoy the music all throughout my youth. Even if I never got to play the video games, I really enjoyed the music. And so at the time, what was this, 2000? This was 2008, 2009. Final Fantasy XIII came out. And so I gave that. So that was actually my first hands-on exposure to the Final Fantasy series. So I've heard about it my whole life, but I never got to actually play it until 13. I never finished it.
That's okay. I didn't get past the first part of it.
Yeah, I got to the open world area, and I was just I moved on to I think Dragon Age came out somewhere around that time, and that stole my heart. But when 14 came out, the MMO, I was just ooh, I want to do this. And so I played 1.0, and I enjoyed that a great deal more than I enjoyed 13, I think. But it was just 1.0 was just on the list of, I gotta try as many video games as I can. At the time, I have a PlayStation 3 in my house now. Nothing's stopping me, and that's what got me into it initially. And then, I stopped playing it for a little while during the 1.0. But then when A Realm Reborn came back around, I don't remember what possessed me to try it again. I don't remember what my thought process was, but I picked it back up, and I never stopped after that.
So yeah, you've been playing longer, I guess, than we have, because we did not. I know, Basil, you played a little bit of 1.0, but I didn't even know anything about 14. The last I had ever heard about Final Fantasy, I knew about 11, and when they announced 11, I was like, well, I can't play that. I don't have anything to do internet and whatnot, and then I just completely missed 12 I did get 13 way after the fact, but I didn't even finish the beginning section because I was like, I don't like it. And then Basil, we had only been dating not even a year, and 14 was coming back out with 2.0, and he's like, hey, we really want to play an MMO, and we want to try this. And I was like, I've logged into WoW like twice on the free trial, and I hate it. I cannot do MMOs. It's so confusing. He's like, I understand. He's like, if I buy it for you, it comes with a month. Will you play it? And if you don't like it, you don't have to keep playing it. I went, okay, fine. Well, that was almost a decade ago.
Right. Yeah, I did try a few other MMOs, but around the time that I did Final Fantasy XIV. I tried SWTOR for a bit. Dungeons and Dragons Online was also one that I tried, but none of them really stuck. So Final Fantasy was really the only one that really stuck. I did enjoy Secret World when I played it, but Final Fantasy XIV is the only MMO that I struck out on my own and did for myself, and I really I got into the role play scene very quickly, so I think that's what kept me.
Well, I think it's kind of funny you mentioned getting into the music before the games themselves. Uematsu's work is a known quantity among gamers, but it's interesting to hear that perspective from somebody that didn't have that experience. But sort of recognizing the quality and coming into it through that. How do you?
Oh yeah.
How do you see your journey from those early pre-gaming days, if you were, up into like Ahsoka stuff now?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been into anime since I was a little kid, and so like majority of my online experience was with anime fans, and it was actually a friend that I met through my Digimon days when I was really into the Digimon fandom. She and we shared the same ship. We both really liked Joe and Mimi from Digimon, and she was really into the Final Fantasy music, and so she exposed me to a lot of it. And the song, I mean, I liked all the music a great deal, but the one that really grabbed me was actually Melodies of Life from Final Fantasy IX.
Oh yes,
I love that song so much. I actually have the sheet music. I still have the sheet music. I learned to play it on piano when I was in high school, and I played it at a recital.
That's awesome.
So yeah, throughout my college years, I would return to it every so often because it just stirred a memory. And it's actually kind of funny because there's actually several anime series that I got into because I heard the music first, and I was like, oh, this anime must be awesome because the music rocks. Detective Conan was actually a series that I heard the music before I watched the show. So I guess it was kind of the similar situation. Sometimes I hear the music before, and now I'm very cautious. I'm very cautious about listening to music of anime series that I have not seen because I'm like, if I listen to this music and I like it, I'm going to have to watch it. And do I have time for that? So
I had a little bit of a similar thing with Yuri on Ice because Basil was watching it and a friend of ours, Kevin, and they had told me about it. I'm like, I mean, ice skating anime sounds cool, but I'm lazy when it comes to watching new anime. And there was the first episode was like episode 7, which is a big episode if you've seen the series. And like immediately I was like, the music's amazing.
Yeah.
And then I started shipping Yuri and Victor. I went, oh, well, okay, we're going to start episode 1 now.
I remember when I first heard of Yuri on Ice. I love this series. It's beautiful. I love figure skating in general.
Yes.
I always have. But I remember when I first saw the title and I searched it expecting it to be about girls' love. I'm like, this isn't Yuri? How dare they? Because I'm a big Yuri fan, girls' love fan. And so I was like slightly salty. There was no girls' love in it, but I still love the show. It's a beautiful show, I think.
They still have time to include it if we ever get that movie, but
that is a sore topic.
You had to open that wound, didn't you, Basil?
I'm just.
You can suffer all you want. I'm waiting for Nana to finish.
Oh.
I've been waiting a long time for Nana to get a new chapter. It's my wheel of time. I'm just waiting. I'm like, please don't die. Please don't die, Yazawa Sensei.
Right? Yeah, that it's almost like Hunter x Hunter levels of. Mm-hmm. Are you even going to remotely be able to? You know what? I'll just take what I can get when I get it because.
Pretty much.
I'm just glad that you started off like my first Final Fantasy XIII. I'm like, That's and then I dropped off on okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's because that's my least favorite Final Fantasy by like a country mile. And
there's things I like about it, but
I love the music.
Yeah, the music's beautiful. There's certain characters I like, but there's a lot of characters I don't.
But
I think that's
I'm not going to let my negativity towards a title not infringe upon this podcast. We're talking about other things.
Yes, we're going to focus our negativity on 14.
That's right. Like the Starlight Celebration. They're doing that again.
Yay.
What? I love Starlight. I decorated my FC house yesterday to reflect the Starlight Celebration. I'm very happy. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to change the orchestra into the Starlight music. And I was like, I was prepared for like a papaya level of obnoxious that people are going to hate me. But then I put on the music. I'm like, oh, wait, this is all quite relaxing.
Yeah, that's what we tend to do. I usually tend to decorate the house for all the holidays. And I always adjust the playlist I always make sure I have the holiday music that they've given us and then things that sound remotely similar. But yeah, no, it's fun. You should submit your house to Denmo because he likes to do housing tours on his streams. And
oh, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we have new Starlight hitting from December 15th to the 31st. And we are getting new Santa suits or Starlight suits.
Can't wait for all the bikinis with the Santa beard.
You know, and I didn't realize, because I was like, they're giving us another one? And Basil made a good point. He said, it's been almost 10 years probably since we got the last Santa outfit. And I just never realized it. So it is time for a new one.
Yeah.
And
it was 2016.
Need to look. What's the difference between them?
There's the, it's called like the Dream Coat or
the Dream Coat and the Dream Hat, and which are actually craftable. And then they gave us the Starlight robe.
I see. Yeah. Right. I see now. I see. It has like the old one has like the pom-poms.
Yeah. So this one's more traditional, I think. And I'm excited about the outdoor decoration. I think that's going to be. I got to figure out where the crap I'm going to take out to put it in. But I need more housing space. 7.0 needs to get here so I can get more housing space.
God, right?
Speaking of, Dontrell needs to get here, we still have to finish off Endwalker, so let's take a musical interlude and talk about some of the stuff that this latest patch, Growing Light, has brought us. We're back, and we're talking about patch 6.5, Growing Light. And the first part of it doesn't really affect the four of us one iota. But if you've been playing on the free trial, congratulations. You've now also had the chance to play up through and including Stormblood.
You get to meet Hancock, yay!
No, you can't do ultimates. That was one thing we were like, oh man, you're going to have free Cub and free Woo. No, you cannot do ultimates.
Yeah, you got to pay for that suffering.
I've never beat one, but they're fun.
They look fun.
One day.
Some of the other things I like is how they have tried their best for Alliance Raid Roulette to not always be the Crystal Tower series.
I got Circus Tower 3 days in a row. And then I got Rabbit Aster 2 days in a row, and then went back to Circus Tower. I was like, wait a minute.
Wonder how that's happening. Maybe it's all the free trial people.
It could be. Well, and it's been pointed out before is that the Crystal Tower series is the only one required by the main storyline for you to complete. All the other ones are optional. Well, yeah, for now.
I am curious, though. Don't you have to, for the Alliance Raid Roulette, are the only ones you have to complete the Crystal Tower, or do you have to, in order to unlock the roulette, do you have to complete at least one other?
No, you only have to have Crystal Tower open, because then as you level, once you've unlocked others, they get added to it. But yeah, you only need one of them unlocked.
So it's not like expert. It's not like
Right.
expert roulette.
Yeah.
I think expert's the only one that's like that.
You would think that would be something they should
Yeah.
consider. Otherwise, those people are just queuing for Crystal Tower anyway.
Well, it's one of those lowest denomination sort of things where, say someone is playing on the free trial and they're playing through, well, if they're going to be able to get into the Crystal Tower, they are probably having to depend on people going into the roulettes. And so,
right, because they can't make parties.
Right. So they're just queuing into it, and then the roulette's like, well, what needs people slotted in, and they'll just slot the people in as stuff pops up.
Yeah.
And if all these new folks are just queuing into Crystal Tower, then that's where we go. But they tried. They made the roulette like level based, not just eye level based, so you can't, take off your pants and lower your eye level.
Yeah.
And then they added the actual current tomes as rewards in addition to poetics to further and be like, look, you're not only are we're saying, hey, you should do these other ones, but we're going to give you better rewards if you do the later raids that aren't just Crystal Tower.
Yeah, I'm glad they're incentivizing the unlocking of the other raids because Crystal Tower, while important to the story, it is not the strongest Alliance raid by any stretch.
No.
In my opinion.
Oh, for sure. So
that's a hard argument to make when you skip all the mechanics these days.
Yeah. I haven't jumped into Alliance Roulette in a hot minute. I've just been focusing on doing like Thalia and like the newest set just to get the coins up. And I'm not really been leveling, so I haven't really needed to do a whole lot of roulettes, period. But I'm glad they've added the current tomes to that at least. It makes me feel like there would be a reason if I needed to cap off comedy, that would be a thing I could do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would honestly not hate it if they were to beef up the numbers in the Crystal Tower raids to make people do some of the actual mechanics of those raids.
Like when's the last time you had to do the platforms on
on the
Punchy Guy.
One. Yeah.
Xansi's
the Crystal Tower has some great mechanics. It's sad that people don't get to see them anymore because oh boy. Like the fact that you can still wipe on the last boss of Labyrinth of the Ancients, if you don't get everybody to the pads on time, that it's that, but like every boss in Circus Tower, and I miss that sort of. Sometimes I don't, but it's nice to get an easy one every now and then. But sometimes I miss the fun mechanics they had.
So what I'm hearing is Circus Tower Unreal coming in patch 7.1.
Please.
Look, we don't need to fight Amon again. Let him die. Let the fucker die.
How many times do we have to teach that old man?
I guess I should point out this point. Yeah, spoiler levels are Omega Red because, we're talking about 6.5.
We're talking about 6.5.
I assume that you knew when you're clicking on this episode that we are not shy about spoilers at all. But the other big thing that I really liked as a quality of life thing was the change that you can optionally take for your teleport destinations.
How many of you have changed that?
I really like it.
Yeah? I haven't tried it yet. I'm so used to how the old layout. I haven't tried the other version.
I thought
yet.
I would be the same, like very much in the whole this is how I've done it. No, it's really nice actually.
Yeah, I mean I've talked how like I don't love the fact that we're probably never going back to Eorzea, like we're never going back to like Doma and further games. So it felt kind of like they were already segmented by expansion, except you have stuff like Kurthus and Mordona shoehorned off to another field, randomly. So I immediately switched this on as soon as they made it available, and I haven't looked back.
I have big feelings about not going back to Eorzea.
I feel like we will. I don't think we will.
You better.
They've shown, especially with the variant dungeons and things. I really hope it's not picking up my dog, Ada. She decided to bark at things. I really hope, like with Variant and Criterion, we've been able to explore areas of places we've been to, and so even if that's the only way we get to go back, But I feel like they've made the first relevant with these patches. We've gotten to go back and go to places in the first. I didn't think we'd go back and see Amaring again.
Yeah.
Why would we go back to Raktika other than to take Ishtola to, Runar? Like, I didn't expect them to do something like that. So I wouldn't put it past them to find other ways for us to to reuse, Realm Reborn areas.
My number one wish list for MSQ, and I don't expect it to happen in Dawn Trail, but it would be nice if they did, is that we would get, and I realize Ishikawa is not the only writer on the team, but like I want to say the Ishikawa treatment to the Realm Reborn areas.
Yeah.
That's like my number one wish. I want to go back. I want the loose ends tied up in the Realm Reborn areas.
And I wonder.
I want Gridania. I want Gridania to get something meaty.
I wonder if we could get something like that with Dawn Trail, because we're going to be going to the New World with the Ixal and everything. I mean, that's where we first met a lot of these tribes that we know of, and like was it Upper Lenosha where you go Wanderer's Palace? I mean, the last boss in that is probably going to be a big thing with the next expansion. So I'm really curious to see if they touch on any of that.
There's also so much map that you can see is on the map that we can't get to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this would be like a 9.0 or a 10.0, but I would love an expansion that kind of reworks Eorzea. Now with the graphical updates, and we're no longer beholden to being stuck on PS3 or even lower spec PCs, they could take a lot of those chunks of land and really expand them out. But
Agreed.
I suppose we'll see. And at least there are things like, for example, I really enjoyed in Endwalker, all the role quests took us to all various spots and let us catch up with folks. Like there was a thing where you could hang out with Amric for a little bit, or go over here and hang out with these people, for this.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is the Basil wants ARRR.
Realm Reborn, yes.
Co-signed. I want to know what's up with the elementals.
Yeah.
Like Nafika spoke on them a little bit, and I'm like, okay, about that. Wait, about that. Wait.
It's like, no, we have questions. We have things we need to talk about. Please don't leave yet.
Look, you killed Zodiark. We're done. You defeated Despair. We can bounce now, right? Like we don't gotta be here. And everyone's like, no, this is spoilers for later on talks, but whatever. I'm like, no, we just got you. Why are you going now?
Yeah, like, people thought for the longest time that maybe like, oh, the elementals are dead. Oh, the elementals aren't real. It's just, a plot that the Conjurers Guild and the Pajal are using to manipulate the citizens of Gridania. And so now we know the elementals are real. So, about that. Cool. Let's talk about the Boy and the Dragon Gay, shall we? I'm just like, can we talk about that? Can we know what happened to the, what about the Amber Rock?
Well, I wonder.
And Gilmora?
Yeah.
Gilmora? Anybody?
Anybody? There's so much. I love this game. There's so much.
Yeah.
There is so much, and I also wonder, since we're going to Tural in the expansion, I wonder if there are ways they could talk about these themes, and while it may not be in Gridania talking about the elementals, there might be the equivalent thereof in Tural that they can talk about.
Yeah.
That we can then extrapolate, go, oh, well, while they didn't say this is how elementals work, clearly these are the same things under a different name over here. And that would
exactly.
I wouldn't hate that.
I would not hate that either at all. Like, if we're not going to be getting job quests anymore, I want at least some expansion on the lore of the powers that we have.
Yeah.
That's all I want. That's all I want.
One of the situations where we find out about these, new elementals, and then they're like, well, let's teleport. How about you teleport over to Gridania, where we do some research for, a quest or two. and sort of use that as an excuse to build on the lore in these other places.
Yeah, and there's so much.
When people say there's nothing to do in this game, I'm like, you playing the same game? There's a lot.
They don't role play.
There you go.
This is why I really, really would like them to really develop the tabletop game they're coming out with. Like, there's so many.
Oh, that's right. We do have the tabletop game. Maybe there'll be more in there.
I'm afraid it's just going to be like 2 books and that's done. Like, I would love an entire D&D style line of supplements and whatnot for every one of these areas.
Yeah, I'm so scared it's going to be a copy and paste of things in the Encyclopedia Eorzea or something. I'm like, no, give us something
And speaking
new.
of, we get a new encyclopedia in 10 days? Yeah, 10 days. So we don't know what's going to be in there. Like, I'm excited.
Well, it's mostly going to be Charlian and Alpis and...
I mean, I'm happy with
all the new areas, right?
Possibly.
Well, yeah, but it's going to have a lot of ancient stuff. I mean, and I love ancient stuff. It's just not relevant to my current.
It's true. Well, the fact that Novika mentioned about the elementals, maybe there's more in there about her ancient past that might affect that because of I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, I'm so excited. I had to double check like last week. I'm like, I did pre-order this, didn't I?
Or did we pre-order it? How many times? We tend to pre-order books like 2 or 3 times. We got 2 of the Crystal of Light books in the mail, and I went, oh, whoops.
Yeah, my Amazon pre-order is still ready to ship by the 20th, so I'm a week from tomorrow, rather.
Also being covered in the new Encyclopedia Eorzea is stuff about the first. And speaking of the first, we actually went back to the first. In this patch, we got to hang out with Reen and Zero got to hang out and do like light stuff.
Some weird light, darkness, mishmashy stuff. And the entire time I was like, where's Gaia? Where's Gaia?
We need more Gaia in our lives.
I love her. I love them. I love them. And so that was nice. I want to know your guys' take on this. I hear a lot of people criticize, and I'm not going to say which side I'm on until I hear your answers. I hear a lot of people criticize Graha Tia for never mentioning Lena.
I think it's too painful, and he knows he's not going to get to go back and see her yet. But I feel like he does, because he does ask about, when you come back from visiting, I know not with this one particularly, but you can talk to him about during Endwalker when you go to Elpis and all that, but you come back, when you talk to him, he does say, wait, they both said that? He does react to what they both mentioned while you were there. I think right now it's kind of like Ishtola. We finally, she's never mentioned Runar really until this last one, and because Zero brought it up. And I think it's just one of those things that it's kind of hard for them to talk about because they don't think they're going to get to go see them again in this life. So it's they want to hear that they're doing okay, but...
That's a fair...
And he's not that much of an active player in this scenario content. They, for good or ill, he was relegated more to the Mists of the Realm section of this post-Endwalker stuff before we hop back with, prime, Graha times for Dawn Trail. So there's not really that much chances for him to have input. I could totally see an aside of a conversation you could have with him, possibly even during Dawn Trail. I could definitely see that being a plot point they come back and tie into later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I agree. I think that's a good point.
So I think much in the same way that they couldn't really have Gaia show up all that much because she's an optional content, they can't really focus too much on these interpersonal relationships because there's the mechanic of fan fiction. We've talked in the past about them leaving blanks for spaces like this to let people to fill in. Exactly. So we've had conversations in Discords about the exact nature of relationship between Lena and the Crystal Exarch. Was it father-daughter? Was it more romantic? Was it one-sided? Was it not? There's so many options there, and I think they're smart by not filling those options in the text. You kind of do that here. I do think it's a little sad that because it isn't a patch, they couldn't really give you that time and attention to detail. I would have loved to seen that. I think the scene in 5.3 or whatever when he leaves is incredibly touching. Like I think they have a great relationship, but I can see maybe why they elected to not write that, in black and white.
And maybe, like I said, maybe we're gonna get. I mean, I definitely see us breaking down the walls between the shards in that we can go visit. Like anyone can go visit. I definitely feel like we will end this game with Ishtola and Graha being able to visit the first, or the people from the first visiting the source.
Oh, no, maybe not the Anchorage.
Yeah. I mean, or I fully expect Gaia and Ring, and they even at the end of Eden, again, it's not required, but Gaia says, I wonder if I could travel to between shards. Maybe I could bring Reen to the source. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. It's a possibility.
I think everybody wants to see Reen.
Like, I want her to show up in a Gunbreaker outfit with Thancred's Gunblade and Gaia, and just...
Right?
Thancred's going to be so proud.
Speaking of black and white, that is kind of how we started the Lunar Subterrane, but it very quickly turns into just, so we heard you did like Final Fantasy IV, right, kids? Well, guess what? We are not stopping this train for these patches. Go hang out in Baron. And as Final Fantasy IV was my first beginning to end playthrough Final Fantasy when I was like 14 or 15, this was just like I was the giddiest schoolgirl in the school when this dungeon like moved me into actual freaking Baron. And then someone also pointed out, I think it was our friend Quicks, who was like, yeah, it really reminded me of the PSP opening cinematics of the PSP version of Final Fantasy IV. I went to go watch it and went, holy crap, it is. It's like the same style of spires. It's the same time of day. Like that opening cinematic starts off at like dusk. And that is the time frame that they've got for this dungeon, which makes sense. It is dusk. Like things, they are losing their light. It is getting engulfed into never-ending darkness. This is a metaphor, but it's also a reference at the same time. It is when 14 is pulling its hat trick of making something
the homage.
Yeah, the homage, but making it contextualized for actually 14 itself. So you don't have to understand what it's referencing. You still can really enjoy it, but still being interesting on its own right. Like it does all the things. And It was good. It was good, man. I was just so happy, and the music, and I'm like, man, this is really like Red Wingies, like this feels like more like I should be in Baron. And then I'm like, I'm in Baron. What the? You guys.
It just fills me with such joy seeing. You could just see the love for this series in this game. And it brings me such joy. And
I'll say, I know a lot of people have really been just giving them hell for all the 4 in this expansion, and I never played 4. I watched Basil play it. I know enough about it, but I didn't mind it. Like, I think it was fun. Like, was it my favorite? No, I'm an Ancient stan at the end of the day, but I loved it. Yeah. I think it was great. I don't feel like I was bored. I don't feel like it was out of place. I really enjoyed it. I loved how they incorporated everything. And it was fun getting to hear Basil say, okay, well, this is from this and this is from this. That's
always fun.
Yeah. And I know he was very disappointed, which I know a few people were, that the Dark Elf did not have magnet mechanics. Come on. The 14 community still does not know how magnets work, even though it's opposites attract. Just remember, opposites attract. That's it. And you'll be fine. It's like larboard and starboard. Larboard's left. Anyway. But yeah, no, I thought it was great. And I like it, the impact. I still feel like it had such an impact on me, even that I didn't know all the 4 references. Like when the dungeon changed, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. That was really cool. And the whole Ceremonies, Golbez mystery, I feel, was also very well executed. Like, it was still very intriguing.
I will say, I am more convinced than ever at the end of this dungeon that Golbez is the Asm Shard, like the original Golbez.
Yeah, that's always been my theory, and I feel validated.
But I also was thinking it was the Durante Golbez, but then, especially this one, it solidified that we never see his face. His name is Golbez. Like, I was like, and the fact that it's the dungeon, you're in his body essentially, like you're in his perspective. I was like, holy shit. Golbez was Asm. That's really cool. But it also sad because I don't think we'll ever get that shard back now because it's in a crystal. So maybe one day we can figure out how to release them and have them move on. But we'll see. It's interesting.
If we do go back to the 13th, or, we revisit the Golbez potentially being the Asm Shard, I think it would be a very interesting narrative choice for us to accept that we don't get this.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think that would be.
It would be a nice counter to the Ardbert.
Because for a while I was convinced it could be Zero, and I was like, I don't want it back. I don't want to lose her too. Like we lost Ardbert. I don't want to lose Zero in the same way. So yeah, I would be perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, especially since with the Ancients having moved on, the rejoinings are done. We don't need to rejoin anymore. Like you're your own you.
But I want them back.
I think this is a matter of the mechanics of the game. Black magic is always going to have to exist. So I don't I agree that you can't ever really fully incorporate or save the 13th, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hope it get a little better maybe, but we never ever gonna fix that completely.
Yeah. Like it's just gonna have to be a new reality for them, but something that can be livable.
Well, and I think they've set the stage for if they want to say, later on, yes, we have this will, much like how especially with Eden, we definitely have set the first on the path of regaining itself, where it will not fall back into oblivion of light. Same thing. I think they'll be able to get to the point where we might be able to restore a good amount of light into the 13th, where there'll be like a section that'll now be, quote unquote, normalized, that they can now slowly seep into the rest of that shard. And that it is going to be fine, but we're talking like millennia fine. Like we're not talking, in the lifespan of these characters, but you've started it. It is, the seeds are planted, they're growing. We're gonna get trees, but you gotta let trees grow.
Right.
much like how Zero has grown.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I have loved her character art. I thoroughly enjoyed watching her grow.
I did not initially like her. Like at the beginning, I thought she was. I was like, I'll give it some time, but you're kind of bland. But then, like bit by bit, little bits of like weirdness started to show through. But man, as soon as she became a paladin, I'm like, okay, I'm on Team Zero. I loved her paladin transformation.
I was so convinced she was going to have a scythe of light. I was just like, it's going to turn into light. There's going to be a light blade. That's it. And then turn into paladin. Oh, I guess that's more Final Fantasy IV-ish.
I was going to say that was definitely a 4 reference, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, even complete with her looking at her reflection of herself in crystal. They were setting that stage real good. Real well. And I also do feel that I've heard the voice of her in English, and it is good, but this is one where my weebness comes through as her Japanese VA was so perfect, because her Japanese VA very much sounds like she is the Prince character in a Takarazuka play. Like, she sounds...
Yeah, no, I did Japanese.
Like, she sounds like Sailor Uranus.
Yeah, she definitely has that otokoyaku. She was great. And also the way that she just did that deadpan monotone was just... It was perfect.
Yeah. Like, I cannot wait for 2 or 3 expansions from now when she finally joins the Scions and she's a permanent member of our roster. Like, I am looking forward to that day. I also want to touch back real quick about folks complaining that there's too much FF4 in this series of patches, and I really feel it shows you just how much us on the US and European side of things did not truly play the actual Final Fantasies 2 and 3 and 5. Because, holy crap, as much as this is a Final Fantasy IV references, just dumped into the gumbo of stuff, there's a lot of 5 stuff out there. I mean, there's a lot of 3 stuff. Just so much 3 DNA in Final Fantasy XIV.
3, yeah.
Well, so was Crystal Tower.
Yeah. Well, yes, that too.
Like, Crystal Tower was as much, like, entrenched and just dipped, like, it was freaking deep fried, and the oil was all Final Fantasy III stuff. But even in... so is Shadowbringers, like Eternal Wind, the Overland theme is just so, like, the theme is baked into Shadowbringers. The concept of having Warriors of Darkness is baked from 3. Like, it is so... I remember when I was finally playing 3 through the pixel remasters, and just going like, holy crap, I did not realize just how much they pulled. And I still really loved the Crystal Tower series. I really loved Shadowbringers. And for me, it was a case of, I am now getting new appreciation, both for Final Fantasy III, but also Final Fantasy XIV, to the point that when I played Final Fantasy V, I actually didn't like it as much as a lot of other folks, because I'm like, I kind of liked 3 more. I don't know. And a part of that is I got pilled by Final Fantasy XIV and all its 3 stuff, like the polarity really reversed back onto me. I don't know how magnets work. I can say words, and they mean whatever I want them to mean. I am actually really now looking forward to Dawn Trail, because the Dawn Warriors are from Final Fantasy V. And we already know that there is something with Kryle's grandfather, Galoof, who is, again, Final Fantasy V. So I'm waiting for 14 to now go, no, you actually love Final Fantasy V. You just didn't know it yet. And I'm like, yes, please.
Yes, Yoshi-p.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see all the 11 references for Dawn Trail.
My gosh, yeah.
That too.
I've never played 11. We have a friend that is very much obsessed with 11. He was actually on our last episode, and they're doing a big sale starting like the 3rd, I think. I've debated on getting it, but if they would combine our subscriptions, I would be more inclined.
Yeah, I'm tempted.
I can't. I don't have the new Like a Dragon comes out, and then a month later, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out, and I still need to do the Yuffie DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like I don't have time to lose myself into another Final Fantasy, because there's a Final Fantasy I'm about to lose myself into, like that's like less than like 2 months away. I don't.
Yeah.
I can't.
But I guess to sort of spin off what you were saying, Basil, I think a lot of the issue, people are blaming it on too much FF4, but I think what's really causing that issue is that so much of this doesn't seem to be tying into the next thing. Yes, I know that we've talked about this as a send off to the past 10 years, not really so much of a look forward to Dawn Trail. But I think a lot of people, whether they say it or not, are kind of annoyed by that fact and just using the preponderance of FF4 mythology as a scapegoat to it, honestly. I don't really love FF4 as much as a lot of people myself. I still really, really liked everything they put here. I liked all the dungeons. I loved the boss mechanics for everything, both the trials and the dungeons. I don't really see the hate. I guess I don't really understand the hate for the FF4 stuff. I just feel like it's a scapegoat for the other issues they've had with the game as a whole too.
Well, and I think, and you're right. And the thing is, this expansion has had a unique problem in that Endwalker ended the story. Like, Endwalker ended the entire story for the last 10 years. And, most expansions, you have patch 1, 2, and 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 to end the story of the expansion. Like, your expansion ended in a nice way, but there was still a lot that needed to be done. So you had those 3 patches to sort of taper off of the expansion and end that, and then also then go into the next 0.4 and 0.5 to get into the next expansion. So you had a funnel that was helping do that. With Endwalker, it ended. Endwalker ended. Like, you had your to-do list from Emmett Zelk, and you had things you knew were coming, but it ended. So they pretty much just had to. You're starting something new. There was no funnel, and I think that's what really threw a lot of people in that you didn't have that ease in and ease out of things. It was just very abrupt, and I think that's what a lot of people were having issues with, which I was fine with it. Like, I think it was cool. I knew it was going to be a hard task. Like, it was something that they.
Yeah.
And I feel like they did fine. Like, I don't understand all the hate for, and like I said, it's just one of those things, every now and then this community gets like this. And so,
I mean, to be fair, like I have complicated feelings on it too. Like, I love the FF4 stuff. I liked the fights. I liked Zero. I do feel a little empty. Like, I know we're going to get the 0.55 patch, very soon to taper it off. I don't know. Some of it doesn't all quite connect to me perfectly.
Well, this is also your first content of this. So, yeah. So, and I completely understand that. And so, yeah, as someone who's never experienced how the usual has been, I can see how that's probably a little jarring. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for Dawn Trail, and I like this game. I love it.
Yeah. I think for me, I recognize people's criticisms, but I think that a lot, at least as far as like quote unquote content drought and, the update cycle has been, there's a few factors I feel like don't get talked about a lot. Like, for example, this is the expansion that was done during COVID.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that needs to be kept in mind. I do think the big takeaway I hope the team is taking from this is that there was a major focus this cycle on making things single player friendly. And as such, a lot of group content, I think, suffered.
And so, as for someone that prefers the single player stuff, I've been great. I did Eureka. I did Baja. It was fine. I'm not the person that loved it. I'm not the person that's like, oh my gosh, we didn't get that in Endwalker. We needed something like this for Endwalker. I'm like, no, I'm glad. I'm so glad we didn't have it. I did it. It was fine, but it was not my favorite thing. Like, I still need to go back to Hydatos and get a minion. and I will, but it is something I do not look forward to doing. So, it just depends on, your type of gameplay, but I'm also the person that hates open world. Like, I don't like Zelda Breath of the Wild. I don't like Tears of the Kingdom. I hate games like that. So many people love it. And I understand, that is their type of thing. And so I'm glad that they get the content that's catered to their type of thing. A lot of this content for this expansion was catered to my type of thing. So, I feel like people need to sort of understand that there's going to be a balance there.
Mm-hmm. I just really hope that we see 0 and the 13 show up sooner rather than later, honestly.
I remember back in the day thinking, man, this whole Warriors of Darkness thing just showing up, like, yeah, we're the bad guys, brr, 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 brr.
Saturday morning cartoons.
And then Orianja's like, I betrayed you, but not really. Again, haha. And now we're going away with Minfilia. Bye bye. And it's like, that
was weird.
It doesn't really. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, that was a tangent, but okay, we're doing this thing. Okay, let's go over here now. Okay, yay, plot line. Oh, we're going to, we're going to save Alamigo. Awesome, And then comes Shadowbringer's like, oh, that really meant something. Oh, snap. Oh, shoot. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down. And now it feels like, well, of course, they were planting the seeds. And now it just feels like it's a part of the grand tapestry of the game.
It was by design.
Right. And now you look back on those patches and you rewatch the cutscenes and you're like, oh my God.
And, and this time it's been 6 months for Crow to clean her room and read the letter. It's been sitting there.
Look, some of us are ADD and we get distracted when cleaning. But so post-dungeon was amazing, and trial. I loved the trial. Soken goes hard.
Yeah. He has ascended.
He has. He is incredible. Also, if you have not played the 16 DLC, do that, because he is in top form. But yeah, I loved it. I did beat the extreme pretty quickly. I say pretty quickly. It took a minute, but I was having other issues on top of Party Finder and having to go to Aether. But I thought it was fun. I didn't think it was too easy or too difficult. I thought it was fun. Even the normal trial was fun. It had some great mechanics. I knew there was a lot of, Basil would say, a lot of the attacks, from 4, and I thought that was really neat. And
on a plot lore side of things, can we talk about what happened to that poor dragon?
Oh my God!
I was like, oh my gosh! And hearing Vitra cry out for his sister, I was like, oh baby boy,
I know,
my baby.
Oh, that was
save them. It was like Alfino Alice levels of protect them.
Yes.
For me.
Yes, it was. Although I also should, I guess, before the trial, we have the scene where we get to see the Four Fiends again, and I like how they did that. I like that our party members essentially are like, nope, we're good. They're not as hard this time. You go on. And if you do that scene as a Lalafell, it's hilarious as you run by Golbet.
Oh, I bet.
So much of this game is made better by being a Lalafell, and that whole scene, I was cackling as I ran by. Just my little legs. It was great. And then you just jump in a hole, because that's what we do. We just jump in a hole.
I'm glad that finally Buparicha got defeated by the Dragoon. That's what I was waiting for during that trial. Because the mechanics in 4 is that whenever Buparicha, she goes into tornado form, you can't fight her, but if you use the jump ability from the Dragoon, Kane, it'll knock her out of it. So she's weak against Dragoon. So when she's like, my essence is back and I'm going to do a thing, and Simeon's like, nah, go away. I was like, okay, there we go, cool. That's what I wanted. You did it. Thank you. We can move on now.
Estinian fans have got to eat this expansion.
The trailers for the next expansion.
Yeah, I am so Like, Ascendian is the greatest thing to happen to the Scions. Sorry, Grahak fans. I'm sorry.
I love his sass, and I love that.
I love him. I love it when they bully him.
I have to remind myself that he hasn't been in the Scions the entire time.
Speaking of characters that we meet that we don't like at the beginning and that didn't like us, like if you ever do the Dragoon quest, Ascendian's kind of you don't like him.
We have him for a lot of Heavensward because Ishgard and all that, and then he was not around at all, or not at all, but very little for Stormblood and Shadowbringers.
And then he had the flashback scenes in Shadowbringer, right? Yeah.
Lord, I agree. There's a streamer I watched that they were like, I would love a video game of Ascendian and Gaius going through Garlemald. Like that would be amazing.
Buddy cops.
Yes.
That actually, I think if they did that, that would actually appease a lot of people who really wanted to see Garlemald actually explored and not the poor decrepit husk of explosions.
Yeah, the wasteland that we
aftermath. Got. Yeah, I think that could sate a lot of folks real good, but we'll see what happens. What did happen though was Mists of the Realm, and
wait! You're not done with main scenario.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta talk about Cryo.
We get baby dragon.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Baby girl.
We get to baby girl, and I want her minion, and she's adorable, and I would kill for her. And so we say goodbye to Zero, and we leave. We leave her with a drippy, and Ishtola threatens us. So I mean, I will always remember how that ritual is supposed to be. She is my new favorite magical girl. And then we go and we're like, oh, we're going to have a party. But first we need to take the Crystal of Darkness to Reen so they can use it to try and help balance things. And if you've done Eden, you get something that I don't think everyone wanted, no one expected.
Yeah,
That door opened and you don't only see Gaia, you hear Gaia walk through that door. I screamed. I was so happy.
Same. I was like, bless you.
And she's like, look, if you're dealing with darkness, call me. And we're like, yes, please. We want to. So she has been released from side content jail. She has now, and also we got the first voiced mention of Unukalai.
So maybe now pronunciation.
Yeah, right. Everyone's like, oh, that's how it sounds. Yeah, so now like those are two huge things that I really hope they continue on. And if you go talk to Silva and Unukalai after you have to complete 6.5. Like you have to do the green quest and get the achievement. Then you can go back to the first and they have new dialogue. And it's so frustrating because Silva's like, oh, I would have loved to have met her, and we're like, we walked right by you. Was Zero.
Yeah, that was.
I wish we could have done something with you, but I like that now. Though those threads have at least started getting tugged, that maybe we can do something with them later. Mm-hmm. But oh yeah, seeing Gaia made me so freaking happy.
I wonder if she shows up if you haven't done Eden.
She does not. If you haven't, the cutscene will end before she walks in.
Okay.
So like that is a whole ass like special thing if you do Eden.
Once again, all optional content isn't really that optional.
It's Eden and Pandemonium should not be optional. Like the lore, and I mean Alexander too. Alexander should not be optional. Mm-hmm. Nier can be optional. Evilise, I'm not an Evilise stan, but
mechanically it's my favorite of the raids. But lore wise, Mists of the Realm.
But okay, so speaking of Mist of the Realm, we got part 3. We got the conclusion. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Mechanically, I was underwhelmed, but story-wise, I was quite happy.
Have you gone back through and done blow kiss or anything on Limlane?
Yeah, I haven't, but my friends have. I'll let them do that.
We went in. We were I don't know if we were the FC or I think we may have been with our Blue Mage group. We were the full party, and I was like, I'm doing it. I'm like, just but I'm not doing anything. I'm going to be doing this, and I got hit, and I was loving it. I'm
too busy healing during that fight that I have to.
That's why I don't go in as a healer.
Because everyone else is trying to blow kisses at her, and you're stuck wiping up their mess.
I really hope that becomes a thing. Like, I don't want them to tell us. I want us to be able to find it, and I don't want it to be oversaturated. That's just a fun thing I would love to see from now on.
Easter eggs like that is great.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you pat or hug somebody, they get that debuff taken off, and the Global Library, or if you're a Mikote and you've eaten, if you've eaten food and you're well fed, the fat cat will appear in that one boss in Scala.
Oh, really? I didn't know that one.
You didn't know about that?
No.
The second boss in Scala. If you're a Mikote, if you have a Mikote in your party that has eaten food, the fat cat will show up.
Oh my gosh, I need to do this now.
It's amazing.
That's awesome. And see, things like that are so much fun. I think one of the things I've loved with Thalia is I've loved getting to see Thalia's voice actor on Twitter, the English voice actor.
So great.
He's adorable.
He's awesome. I love him.
Like the fact that it was he's a 14 fan and was like, I'm gonna audition
living
for
the
this.
dream.
Yeah.
Living the dream right there. I want to do that. I want to be in 14. Someone fly me to the UK, please, and let me audition.
We'll try to go find it for you.
What a dream.
But the story, I love the story. Like I said, I love all the mechanics. I think they're fun. And we all knew, we knew the last boss had to be some kind of combination.
Yeah.
I was shocked to hear Graha actually get voice acted. I am thoroughly convinced we're going to lose Jonathan Bailey at some point as the English voice because
he's just so popular.
He's getting so popular. He's going to be Fiero and Wicked, and I know the second that trailers start coming out for that, the 14 Phantom's going to go feral because Grahati is singing. And I'm just afraid we're going to lose him. But I hope not. He seems to really enjoy the role. I know he's actually talked about it in interviews, so...
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to the Wicked movie.
I hope not. Like, if anything, it's I'm gonna regret saying this. It's easy work compared to a musical.
And he can probably do it. Home. That COVID has taught that voice actors can do things from other locations.
He doesn't have to shower or shave to go in.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't have to go through the makeup, the retakes, the hot lights, all that stuff. You know?
So, but yeah, I enjoyed seeing the combination of the gods at the end. I think that was really cool, and I like that they all use different. I wish they'd use some different mechanics, and for some of them, there's a couple that we didn't see that I was like, I wish we had seen that, but.
You know what I think it was? I think for some of the fights, at least in the last one, I felt like they didn't put enough trash mobs in to separate the boss fights.
Yeah.
I think that may have been it.
They put them in different spots. Because there's always 2 or 3, and usually they'll separate them out the first 2 or 3 bosses, and then there'll be no trash mobs between the last 2 bosses.
Mm-hmm.
This time we had trash mobs, then 2 bosses, then trash mobs, then the final boss.
Yeah, I feel like that is a dance that they've never quite decided on anything. And it's fine. I mean, I like that it's not actually that scripted like Dungeons, but yeah, sometimes sometimes you want a little bit more, and then but yeah, and then I loved Ashan. I did not, for some reason, I never realized he was a bard or he was an archer. I felt like a bad player for not realizing that. But playing that as a bard is great because I'm like, you're using my own skills against me. But it was fun. And And it's so and
you load you've got all the different mechanics come back in little miniatures.
Yeah.
The one where they combine Thalea's Hieroglyphica, the sort of 90-degree spin with Raugur's arm punch.
Oh my gosh, I forget about it every time.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah, no, that was a gotcha.
That and the 3 forms she does, like I have to sit there and like think about it for a second to sort of figure out what side we're going to stand on.
That one I finally figured it out. I can figure it out pretty quickly now. The first time I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Exactly.
You definitely can't zone out on that part, because usually I'm just like, I'm just gonna watch YouTube while healing.
Yep. But we finish it and they start to leave.
Oh my gosh, that Oppo! I was
Oppo.
about to scream. I was like, "Don't you dare! Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Leave the monkey! Don't leave the monkey!"
I was about to cry, and I hadn't cried at very much in the patches since that.
Oh, I absolutely did. This is every week for the past 2 months has been, all right, can I kill God without crying? For 30 minutes, can I get through this? It's just the music and the
the music is so pretty. The music of this entire raid series has been some of my favorite, and it's been so diverse, I feel, and I really, really loved all of it.
Soken and his sound team, they have really just, they were pulling their weight.
Yeah, they are some very talented individuals. I'm glad I like that we got more lore after the fact. I guess we didn't even talk before you go in there. You can talk to each of the gods, and you actually get a special line for your patron deity, which was really neat. I think that was a great, because when you pick that, no one thinks about what it is. No one picks like based on anything. I finally figured out like sort of the astrology type. Like, I made sense of it in that way. So I'm like, okay, so for my astrology sign, I would be Halone. So that's kind of where I was like, okay, I'm going with that. But no one thinks about that when they first picked. Like, everyone changes their so many people use their Fantasias to change to like Azema when Aglaia came out, and or change to Halone, or things like that. So it was really neat that you got a personalized sort of response from your patron deity, and that was fun. I'm glad they did that. And like, if you did certain side quests, I know with Nimia and her brother, like if you did the Elpis side quest, you got mentioned to that. If you craft and gather, you get mentions if you're crafter and gatherer with Byragot, and those were such good touches, such really cool touches, and that's why I love doing everything in this game, because I love getting the extra things like that.
Right.
And then we get more lore on who they were.
I absolutely chose Thalia as the scholar because 4K is a summoner and he's supposed to be smart and like he likes books, and it also happens to correspond to like March times anyways when I was for my birthday. So, but I did think about that. I'm just saying there was at least one person that was me.
Well, yeah,
I chose Thalia as well for similar character reasons. So
I don't remember who I picked first. I really don't. Like, I don't remember who my first deity was, because I know I had changed it a while back.
I mapped mine to my actual birth date. So as a Gemini, I want to say it's either Thalia or Althic. I forget.
What would my deity be? I gotta find the reference for that.
Like, I go by like when you go into your character creation screen.
Yeah.
We'll have to look. I'll definitely do that. But yeah, so I like that we get more info on who they were and their ancient selves. Like, getting Ashan to be able to, I feel like that's his closure of, losing his family, and that, he gets to tell you about them. And, I love the fact that Byregot's the one that had to pick up Hythlodaeus' slack. I just cracked up so hard at that one. Like, yeah, he was a flake, but he's an adorable flake.
One day, I really want to talk to someone who has gotten this far into Final Fantasy XIV, but also got into Pillars of Eternity, because they handle similar things, but in very different ways. And I don't want to say too much, because if someone's going to play Pillars of Eternity, I don't want to really spoil things for them. But, like, eventually I'll find that one person who has played both like me, and then I'll get to pick their brain. But I do want to pick people's brain. I think we could take a little sojourn into our Nimian ancestors over at Aloalo Island.
Ah, yes.
I've done it a couple of times. I like it. I think it's fun. It's hard.
Beautiful.
This one is a lot harder. I'm actually working on Criterion as well, and holy moly, even for just variant, mechanics are hard this time.
I regret going the middle path every time because the Lala misses me up every time.
But it is pretty. I like getting hang out with Matsuya, and I love every time you go somewhere, he's like, hey, can I stop and fish? I'm like, dude.
Yes, he gets a different fish every single time. It's so precious.
And if you didn't get the 3 out of 3 fish, you feel obligated to be like, yeah, sure, let's fish. But it's fun. I still need to finish all the paths for variants so I can get the mountain things. But holy moly, it's fun. It's pretty.
Speaking of fish, I liked the wind fish that shows up from Zelda.
Oh, what? Really?
If you take the left path, the fish boss, it's very reminiscent of the wind fish.
Funny.
I mean, we're stealing moblins from Zelda, so why not the windfish?
Exactly.
Though Basil, how does it feel to have yet more summoners that are more summoner than summoner?
Well, I don't know. It's because it's different. They're animating like something else into doing a thing. Like it's a different kind of Arcanist like adjacent thing, and it's also why we have the fairy, because it's more of a Nimian thing than just being like the first. But why does it look so much like the fairies in the first? It gives more questions than answers.
I was about to say, this is the one dungeon where I feel like it opens up a whole mess of worms, as opposed to the past two, like with Rokon and Lunar Subterrane. I feel like kind of like built on existing things. I feel like this one just shook it all up. What do you guys hope to be the next variant? Like, what characters do you want to see do a variant dungeon?
Like, I mean, Tobias has asked me this before. My first thought was Amarant. It's always going to be Amarant.
Okay.
Which I think we could do something fun with, like, the amnesis and everything. But
funny, I think I posted actually after an episode, and we promised to talk about it, but never did it. So this is like a great time to actually do this.
So I remember during FanFest, I was hoping for a certain character for the variant dungeon, and I was admittedly disappointed that it was Matsuya. I wanted Nero.
Oh, taking Nero into something elegant?
Mm-hmm.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That is my wish. We did not get to see him barely at all through Endwalker. Like, when's the last time we actually saw? Yeah, like we saw him in Omega, right? I think.
I mean, we saw him in Endwalker, but yeah, we haven't really hung out with him much at all.
I'm like, is he too hard for you guys to write now? What's going on? Come on.
Just put more sass.
And so, like, that's my wish. I want Nero. I want a Nero dungeon.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, so I'm like, because if I had to pick one, it was going to be Nanamo, but we had Nanamo. Like it's already happened. Like they gave me the one that I would want.
Do you know who else I want? Is Lolorito.
Would like to see 4K and Lolorito go on a dungeon date. I want to see that.
Take a Ruchu. A Costa del Sol. A Costa del Sol like variant.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Okay, yeah, that Lalafell guy, he's fine. Like we can hang it with his little harem.
I mean, I guess to go back to what you were saying earlier, like I really love the idea of variants filling out the world in ways that, if they can't go back and give us new zones, like I would love to see these show up. And to also echo your earlier point, yeah, give us Gelmora. Let's go with Connie Senna to like explore some Gelmora stuff. Show us these elementals.
Yeah. And, the biggest criticism about the variant dungeons is that the rewards aren't that great. And I do agree with that. But for me, I think it would be an easy fix. It's just that with every patch, they just add new like housing items, minions.
Well, yeah, variant's good, and because it has the minions and mounts, and they're all sellable.
Like if they keep updating them, like every patch, like I think Lunar Subterrane, they could still put new stuff in for rewards, so that we still do them.
But yeah, Criterion and Criterion Savage, they need some massive more like rewards for things. And they kind of started with Criterion Savage in that you got like sort of an ultimate-ish weapon, but Criterion Normal you need like upgrade materials. You need like they need
just throw some shines or twines.
Yeah, twines and things in there. Yeah, they need something more like that.
Yeah,
and because right now I'm to be honest, I'm glad the mounts for all the Criterions have never been ones that have like appealed to me. I want to do them because I'm insane, but I'm doing it for fun. But I'm not really doing it for a reward. I'm doing it for fun at this point.
Yeah.
So they need to fix the rewards on those, especially like variant. I feel like because like the outfits and the pot like I feel like people can grind those and make some decent money out of them.
Yeah, for sure.
So
just throw some more dice in there.
Well, I'd like to see some more housing items. Like we go into the dungeons, I'm like, oh, that would make a great housing item. I would love to see that in housing. There's like so many different things, like especially in the Lunar Subterrane. I'm like, I would love to see that screen in houses. Yeah, it would be gorgeous.
Yeah, though then that also opens up the wound of people that don't have houses.
Well, I mean, the inside stuff, it could be apartments.
Yeah, that is one thing. I will say, slight tangent. That has been one of the funnest things. If you did the cloud server test, watching people go buy houses for a week.
Oh, amazing.
Either that or they did what I did in one of the first things I did once I popped the story skip. I went and bought a gold Potascree mount because I won't have the money on my mains to ever buy. So, Aloalo Island, it's fun.
Why did they give the fairy a gun?
That is
why they give the fairy a gun. Like why
did they give it a whoopee cushion?
Yeah, why? Yeah, that is one thing. The housing item. I'm kind of sad that you can't jump on it and it makes a noise.
Yeah, that's disappointing. Like, why make it interactable?
Yeah,
I love doing it for the first time and walking through and just accidentally stepping on it and taking
to
realize what just happened. Like,
I love when they showed us the trailer and you see the fairy with the gun and we're like, wait, did that fairy just have a gun? Ao's getting pissed.
Yeah, I gotta say one of my rewards is someone who doesn't do like Savage or Criterion or whatever for doing the variants has just been the fun fights. Like I love doing Silky.
So fun.
I love doing status like Trick Shot. My favorite new mechanic. In the whole
oh my gosh, I'm still figuring that out.
Is that the one where like sometimes the bullet goes bonk?
Yeah. You have to count.
I love that.
Count the bullets. It's so
yeah,
great.
that is they've put in a lot of good mechanics in the 3 variant or even the Criterions. Like I've seen a lot like Tripwire in the last Criterion. Those are some mechanics that people were convinced we were going to see in Ultimate, and we haven't yet. And so I'm glad that they are sort of compiling this arsenal of new things that they can do later.
Exactly. You always see this stuff come back into harder fights later. So to see the stuff they're building on, both with all the patches and also the variants, like it speaks to so much potential in the future.
Yeah.
I really like variant dungeons. I don't do them enough, but I like all the different paths. I love that you can dig through the log books and you get little lore bits. And that informs what you want to do your next time you go through. Like for me, that's actually the reward is figuring all that stuff out. Like it is.
See, I use a guide.
Well, it twists your brain, but just a little bit. Not a lot of it, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's rewarding. I guess for me, it's the replayability.
Yeah,
I want to play those again, and it's hard to, and you can do it by yourself, but it's hard to find people to do it with you when you just want to do the content again,
Yeah, see, I do variant alone. I do it as a warrior and just go through. And I have a guide. I sit there and I go through all the paths and do it. And I find that fun. But yeah, I think, going with a group and be like, all right, let's figure out how to.
Well, what's definitely going to happen now that we know they're committed to this type is, we're going to get a variant roulette at some point.
I hope so.
When that unlocks, and
I think that would be
us,
great.
Comedy tomes or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Whatever currency, I think that'll really help get people.
Yeah, I hope that's something that comes with 7.0 is because we now have 3 of them. I feel like that would be a good starting point for roulette.
I am still surprised they did not tie this into the relic. I am still very surprised.
Yeah,
this really feels like content that should have been tied into the relic. Now, now, don't get me wrong. I don't mind the causality grind. I really don't. It is what that has actually done is made me want to get all of them. And this is like, even though you could get a cool Amaro mount for getting everything to 80, that didn't spur me on to getting all 80s. But the fact that I can actually theoretically get cool, glamoury, awesome weapons by the time Dawn Trail starts, if I just keep pushing for causality, and I can do that for all the jobs, that has actually been what has spurred me on to actually level everything to 90 so I can get cool weapons.
Yeah, I do wish they did a mount for the 90, though. I do wish that they had done that. Because the hat wasn't... Because it was a hat, right?
Yeah, it's a little feather thing. It's okay. I feel like there must be something for all 100. There's got to be some huge thing for all 100.
Hopefully it's a mount.
I don't know what it would be.
I had a very fun conversation with one of my FC mates on a drive last weekend. And the question that I posed, what mounts would you want that aren't in game?
And
one of the ones that Bahamut, like real Bahamut, not.
Well, he wants the new Bahamut. We just got to work on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, what would you like to see? What mounts would you like to see introduced to the game? Like, for example, one that I thought that would be really cool is a snail.
The snail would be good. The snail would be a good one.
Snail, an iguana.
Yeah, those would be some good ones.
I don't have a bat yet, do we?
No,
we don't
I
have
don't
a bat.
I really want to see a seahorse, like the Selkie type.
Now, I will say, I don't have a mount. I do have a minion I'm surprised we don't have yet. I want a Furble.
Oh,
I want a Furble minion. We don't have one.
That'd be nice.
But to answer the question, yes, I want, as a summoner, much like how you get the unicorn for being a white mage. And you just get it. I want, as a summoner, Bahamut, to be able to, once you get to you should be able to get a Bahamut, as a mount.
I agree.
Maybe Bahamut 100 as just like an optional subquest. Here, you've done this so much, now you can summon a Bahamut as a mount, and you only get it if you get a level 100 summoner. That's what I want. Also, I also want it to be sized per your race, so that way I can have a little Bahamut for my Lalafell. I think that'd be great. That is, I have been wanting that since ARR.
I could be down with the job specific mounts.
I mean, tanks get them. Why can't the rest of us get them?
Well, they're not technically. I mean, I guess they're job specific. They're animals, so. And I mean, okay, yeah, do 100 hard, high end duties as that job. I would like for them to do that more.
Just 300 dungeons is also another one.
That's true. Yeah,
that the tanks get. Tanks get a lot of them. You would think that they would do more healer ones.
Yeah, I'm surprised
actually
by that. I will say all tank parties are quite entertaining. Especially to figure out which ones we go for. Because doing Garuda Extreme for mounts was weird. Because I was like, that's weird. Because I remember this fight being hard, and and then doing Lakshmi for all tanks. It's okay. It's funny how that changes over the time. Mm-hmm. Speaking of extremes, I know the next thing on our list is the Unreal. I hate it. I hate Thornton Unreal.
I haven't touched it, so
I did it a couple of times, and then parties were too toxic. I want Ravana Unreal. That is what I want next.
At least the music will be amazing.
Mm-hmm. I want Ravana Unreal. I feel like that one would be not as easy as Ultima Unreal, but I feel like it won't be as frustrating. The end of it might be, but I think it'll be fun, and I know a lot of people would enjoy it because a lot of people enjoy Ravana. And maybe then I can finally finish getting the mounts and things from Unreal because I just Party Finder and my wrists just kind of made me stop doing hard-end content for a while. But I know Basil and Tobias actually went in there recently.
Yeah, with our friends, fellow listeners of the Axe of the Blood God, their podcast. They friends that like their stuff, and we were having a night, and they're like, "What should we do?" And one of our friends, Zell, he was like, "We could do Unreal," and I jumped. I was like, "Yes, let's do Unreal," because the one thing I really get why they've set it up so that Unreals are a rotating thing, and you only get one, and it changes every patch. I get why they do that, but I just love the concept of, okay, so we took this fight that everyone just sort of breezes on through. Yeah, whether, even if you're doing it, unless you're doing it minimum eye level, your eye level will let you probably skip things that you don't normally have to worry about skipping. But this levels it to the max level cap of that expansion, so it's still as hard as it was when it was, extremes when it was back in the day, but you still get to use your entire kit. You're not like synced down to level 50 or 60 and you're like, well, where's all my buttons?
Right.
Like it is, I really wish for me that Unreals were just like another option. Like I can click on the Unreal toggle and play through it, and just, even if it's just the same rewards as the Extreme, I would just think it's more fun to do it as Unreal than Extreme.
And basically, I wanted to ask, so back in the day, RFC was actually one of the, we were some of the few groups to actually clear Thornton Extreme on content. Did you get PTSD going back in there?
No, actually, it was actually kind of fun, because I kind of knew what I was doing at times. And I was letting Zell do a lot of the explaining because he's very good at it. But he was like, all right, now we're getting your triangle. I'm like, oh yeah, the triangle. I remember the triangle. I'm going to get into my little triangle and get my, and dodge. He's like, oh yeah, we got to do the thing where we got the two knights and we got to split them apart. And I remember these things. They're finally hitting in the back of my head because we did it so much then. And I'm like, and I was kind of why I wanted to like everyone through, because it's a tough fight. But if you know what's going on, it's not like the most unmanageable thing. It's just that so many people refuse to actually like pay attention and learn. And that's what makes learning parties annoying, since people don't actually want to do that. They just they're trying to catch some group of people to carry them and not actually learn what they need to do to make it happen. But doing it well and learning it, and that's the fun part of these fights. And that's why I like the little group we have, because they don't mind if we take it slow, that's fine. But they're willing to put the effort and they're willing to learn. And it's cool if someone goofs up and we can just laugh and roll.
Yeah, this is actually my first progging experience on any sort of hard content. So like I was ready to do it for the first time and learn. And I'm glad that I'm not having to learn it or like prog it myself. I'm glad that other people are there to tell me what to do. That is certainly the sort of I don't know, the method that I prefer. I'm the guy that watches the Miztech guides, for everything. That's just how I roll, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy going in and knowing it beforehand, rather than suffering. Although we did suffer a lot that night. I think we got down to 50% or so after an hour of grinding it out.
Yeah, we got almost to the halfway point.
Yeah.
Yeah, meteors, yeah.
I mean, I still had a blast doing it. It was fun to sort of be involved, and everyone needs to be on there doing their thing, well. It was kind of nice to do that, rather than, even variants can be a little brainless after you do them a few times. The rotations, the mechanics and stuff. But like you have to pay attention to what you're doing at. Although it's not nearly as difficult as something, like DRS or T or an Ultimate, it's not that level of crazy yet.
Yeah, it can. Yeah.
I think this issue that I have is only getting worse as time goes on. Because what I hate the most of doing older stuff, but doing it like level synced or what have you, is again missing my buttons, missing my kit. It didn't feel so weird like when I was like 50 to 60 and I'm like, oh, I'm doing stuff as level 50. That didn't feel so bad. But a level 50 now is not a level 50 then. Level 50 now, you're missing out a lot.
Yeah.
And every time we add more stuff, they take away more of it, because I still have to create that on-ramp. They still have to gradually bring you up to max level. And you don't want too much stuff because then you have a lot of button bloat, and they're very good about keeping that to the bare minimum. It's just, I don't like not being able to hit the buy buttons. And so I like stuff like Unreal or doing stuff like on content more than not, just because I want my kit. And Unreal fixes the urge to have my kit.
Yeah. It hurts me to do any ARR white mage dungeons now. Like, I'm missing those lilies.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah, you can't zone out because you're like, I have to
Hit the
GCD.
hardcast.
Yeah.
Because the game is designed for you to play at level 90, and when you're not level 90, it feels bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Splendiferous tools. Are anyone doing these?
Yeah. Trying slowly. Like, I
unlocked it, but
yeah, the most recent ones have expert crafts, and that's when I'm like, I may not finish it. Like, I don't like expert crafts, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I'll finish all of them before the expansion ends, but they're fine. They're a fun way to, like, if you're bored and, just want to do some mindless grinding, that's if you wanted grinding, go do Splendorous tools. But the story's fun.
Yeah, I want to do it for the story.
Yeah, because it's the first equivalent of Geralt and Rowena's love story on the and they're so funny. I need to finish that. That is what I want to finish is the story for that. And again, speaking of stories, custom delivery story. I did not expect to cry at that one, and hoo boy, did I. Margaret, she's the one that you got that you're like, oh, she needs sleep.
Oh, yeah. That one was, I giggled a lot during that one, too.
Oh, yeah. But then in the end, you get all the researchers that are, like, thanking you, and she's like, why are you making me cry? It was cute. I loved, you have the researcher that they have cats that they want you to bring things for.
Yep.
It was so cute.
Fall Guys.
Man, that song was stuck in my head. I need to play it more. I got the main things that I wanted. I still need to get the glams, but God, that song. You go to sleep with it in your head, and you wake up with it in your head, and it just doesn't leave. Now,
the three of us, we all played the 14 collab on Fall Guys, and I went through. I know I got all of the items on that, and Tobias got close. I think Basil may have gotten all of them or close. And it was fun. I had never played Fall Guys before, so I was really looking forward to it coming into 14, and I love it. I think they did a great job with it. It's a lot of fun. I got very annoyed when I saw about the cheating. I'm like, come on. Like,
yeah, it's kind of pathetic.
Yeah, yes, I want the title, but I'm not gonna cheat to get it. It doesn't mean as much if you do that. So, But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and
it cheapens it too.
It does, yeah. But I will scream at it like I do PvP. I'm like, I was out of this.
Right.
I love how well it's teaching people how like mechanics in 14 actually works.
Yeah, like people are like, wait, why is this happening? I was out of that, or blah, blah. I'm like, this is how the game has always worked. If you've never done Titan Extreme, this is how that game works.
Just like the actual Fall Guys, this is a thing I love to do 2 matches of and put down before I rage out.
Yeah.
Small doses. But I've done enough small doses where I think I've got everything that I want as well. Not all the housing items, but
I've gotten everything. And I've got so many points to buy more things later. But I am planning on eventually making that sweatsuit with the hat. I'm going to make that for a con. I think that'll be fun. But yeah, I think it's great. I'm glad that it's, while I wish, we could maybe play it whenever we want, I think it's a good idea that they turn it off and then turn it back on later, because that'll keep it fresh for people. And
I'm hoping they're also will include more rewards when they bring it back. Maybe like a lot, but like a few things.
Yeah.
Just to get people to go, oh yeah, I do want to do these things because I want to get these new things.
And they don't even have to be Fall Guys specific rewards.
Yeah, doesn't have to. Just something. Like maybe even take some of like, I don't know, like some of the higher end MGP items and have them for Fall Guys tokens. So maybe you didn't want to spend all your MGP on various triple triad cards, but you can do it with the Fall Guys stuff instead. So you might be more interested in doing that. It's just something to get people interested, because already, now that we're rolling into the end of December and Fall Guys is about to poof out for a while, people are doing it less and less and less, and which is, fine. It means there's less people to beat me at the end. But I do think people's interest is now beginning to wane. So taking it away and then bringing it back will help rekindle that feeling.
Yeah, possibly.
Yep.
And then also, speaking of rekindling feelings and small updates, we did get one more update to the Island Sanctuary, where you can now get to level 20.
I hope that they continue to update it. They say they aren't, but
I can see them doing something. I need to finish doing the favors. I kind of dropped off for a few weeks, but yeah, I enjoy it. It was not my favorite thing, but I'm glad it's there, and it was fun to be able to get all the stuff. And yeah, I think, because I know we've mentioned before, at FanFest, someone was like, "Hey, we would love to have more room in our pasture because there's not enough for us to get like one of all the shiny animals. Like, we would love to be able to collect them all." And so hopefully, that could be an update. And I feel like if there's enough people that want something out of it, I think they'll keep doing it.
I really like the Oracle outfit, which is the outfit you get when you're level 20.
It's so cute.
That's my current glam. I'm very happy. Well, I use the top anyway, but it's my...
Yeah, same.
The tractor cracks me up. I feel like it should be a 3-person mount, because you can fit more than one person on the back of that mount.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're a Lalafell.
It's much like, I really feel like the original whale that they did is only a 2-person mount. I'm like, there are more spots for people to sit on this whale.
Oh, if we want to talk about mounts that need an extra seat, the magic carpet being single-seated is the biggest crime.
Yes.
The bed should have more than one person. But yeah, the magic carpet, especially, because we did, Basil and I did a Jasmine and Aladdin like glam for Halloween that one year, and I was like, I would love to have a picture of the two of us on the carpet. Like, that would be so cute. And I know you have the new Chronicling Conflict Arena. I've not been in it. I forgot about it.
I've done it once.
How was it?
It was a map. I mean, the other team. It was one of those cases where the other team was clearly on top of their game, and my team was not, and we got crushed so fast, so quickly, that all the neat, interesting things that the Red Sands offers as the new conflict arena, I didn't get to see or do.
Gotcha.
I included this because it was there, and I was hoping that other people might have been in it. But if not, we can move on to the final thing, which is additional duty support. They got it all in. They got it now. All of Stormblood, all the storyline required dungeons can be done with duty support. So if you hate people and don't mind at least doing the trials with folks, you can play this whole game.
And give it time. They'll probably get the trials done too.
I'm glad they're done with it so they can focus on more group content.
Though I do hope that they do some of the like side dungeons and things as well, because there's some dungeons like Dusk Vigil or Shisui that aren't main story dungeons, but they're the only dungeon at that level. So I would like for them to fix that at some point. I'm glad they've stopped doing that.
What, the optional dungeons mid
the optional dungeon during MSQ.
See, I was about to say, man, I miss those optional dungeons during MSQ.
See, I feel like it was weird because, like, if you started Heaven's Ward, your first dungeon wasn't until the Aerie at 53, and I feel like that was a good chunk of time if you weren't doing side. Because I'm crazy. I do the side quests as I go during MSQ. I do not leave any quest open while I'm doing it. And so I got it. But like, if you just do the main story, you don't get a dungeon till level 53. And then if you're doing Stormblood, you don't have a dungeon between Siren Song and Barnum's Medal. Yeah, you don't get anything between Siren Song and Barnum's Medal. So like it's just such a big chunk of time to not have anything like that. I feel like I like the extra dungeons like on the end, but
this is the first time I'm hearing that Shisui was not mandatory. I did not know that. I just did it. By doing it, and now I'm just not learning that was a thing.
Yep, Shisui is not a mandatory dungeon.
Yeah. So, my thoughts are, I agree with both Anna and Mippa. Y'all are both correct. What I would like, they're not going to do it, but what I would like would then to include some additional optional dungeons while you're going through the main storyline. So you still get the same dungeon progression, but maybe include an extra, 91 dungeon. Because that was how it worked in ARR, where you go through a certain point, and there was this main quest line dungeon, but then, oh, by the way, here are some other dungeons that you can also do. And I like the other dungeons because that's when they can get weird with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm going to invoke the words that Anna hates, which is the word never reap. But I like the weird mini game that they're like, place that totem or move that totem. Like I liked them
puzzles.
making you have to do other things besides just the dance. I like the dance. Don't get me wrong.
Well, that's what I miss about the Realm Reborn dungeons. Like, and that's what I would want for like the non-mandatory dungeons is like, let us, have the variations or the mechanics that are difficult for trusts. Like they're optional dungeons, so you don't have to. If you don't do them, you're not going to be punished.
Right.
And I've liked some of the changes. Like I really like, was it the 1,000 Maws, the Totorak? Is that the one? Like that would change is good. I know it turned into a tunnel, but that was one of those that needed to be a tunnel. Like it was instead of a bunch of little tunnels that you get lost in very easily.
Yeah, the one change that I don't like is, which one is it? Is it Somal? I think it's Somal. No. Yeah, it's the one that we fight. Oh, Sword Kai. It's Sword Kai. That's the one. Sorry, the names are so weird sometimes.
With that Racebugger? Oh, yeah, without jumping on the platforms.
Yes, I missed that. I did not like that change. And I will go on record and say I did not. I understand why they did it. I don't like it.
It was more fun with the other one. I do know, apparently, there's some of the changes to that actually, some of his mechanics reflect some things that happen in DSR.
Yeah.
So I know some people were like, that's kind of a cool change, and I get that, but like, the platforms were fun.
I like the platforms. I want them back.
I understand, and I do like the fact that a lot of the MSQ dungeons are just hallways with 3 bosses. I really hope that they use that as an excuse to make variants a lot more complex as time goes on.
Yeah.
I want to see the various paths and stuff. I want to see stuff like Totorak come back, but in the variant format.
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing.
Something that we'll never get, but I want, is I really like how PvP, how everyone's kit it's still very much their jobs. Like a summoner is a summoner, a scholar is a scholar, but you're using like 6 to 8 buttons total. Period. And, to create the same effect. I would love like a weird ass dungeon that made use of that kit. I think
that would be interesting.
They could do some real interesting gameplay stuff with like, here's a reduced thing, but maybe make more high octane, have more stuff happen at you quicker, so you got to be more on your toes. Which maybe with the 14 net code's a bad idea. Maybe I should not want this, but that is something. Ever since they've introduced the new PvP styles with crystalline conflict and whatnot, with the PvP update, I want to do like dungeon stuff with this. And who knows, maybe they'll incorporate more of that into job reworks and gameplay reworks as time goes on, and that's how they'll solve the constantly gaining levels, and because they keep not giving us a level squish.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the solve. I don't know. But that's just something that I would like, but I don't think I'll ever see.
I had never considered that. That's not a bad idea, I don't think.
Yeah.
So Yoshi-p, if you're listening, and I know you are, or just, hoping in vain, that one's for you. You can take it, and I also do want snowboarding. You should give me 14 snowboarding.
Have us use more swimming again.
I'm really hoping with us going to New World and Terral, I really would like to make that more of a thing. Like, something I really enjoyed in Shadowbringers was when you had to go down in Ratika and swim around and go find stuff.
Yes.
That was
great.
That was cool. And like, technically over in, not Razadhan, but in the Thavnir map, there's a lot of ocean, and you can actually swim through a lot of it. It's there. There's no reason to, but you can do it.
Right.
And I would love for them to introduce more reasons to do it.
I want us to jump down a waterfall. That's my wish list for Dawn Trail. I want us to jump down a waterfall.
That would be fun.
I feel like it's that Joe's volcano and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, Mippa, so much for coming on and talking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was fun. I will come to talk about Final Fantasy stuff anytime.
We will hold you to that. Just so you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll never shut up. Just, pick a topic. We'll go.
And thanks everyone for listening. This is an episode of the Carbuncle Chronicle, which is a production of the Awesome Cast. It is edited by Tobias. Our theme song for the Awesome Cast was originally designed and composed by DJ Inubito. And you can find his stuff at djinubito.com. But the Carbuncle Chronicle variation was reworked by Anna. So that is still true. Our website is at our home at the Awesomecast, osmcst.com, where we also have things you can click on, like our Patreon. So if you'd like to give us some money to help being able to keep the website, up and running and pay the bills, that'd be great. We also have our Discord, but everyone can join. It's free to join, although if you do our Patreon, you do get a cool color. We also now have YouTube channels for both the Awesomecast and the Carbuncle Chronicles separately. We ask everyone to leave. I always list Apple Podcast reviews because those actually, to really get the most out of it, they require you to actually leave a review. You can leave a review for the Awesomecast or the Carbuncle Chronicle. I won't complain, but give us the 5 stars. And of course, Spotify, 5 stars, or wherever has stars or numbers, give us the high ones, please, because the low ones, even like if it's out of 4, if you give us a 4, it might as well be a 0. It needs to either be like the max or don't bother, because that's how these algorithms works. It's dumb, but that's what it is. We also have various social media platforms, and I am going to ask Mippa about that first.
So yeah, I'm mostly on Twitter. You can also shoot, if you ever see me online on Final Fantasy XIV, you can shoot me a tell at Framboise Zakuro. I have a Tumblr, framboisezakuro.tumblr.com. Yes, I still use Tumblr to chronicle all of my Final Fantasy XIV misadventures. And I also have a card, CARRD.co, with the first part being Framboise Zakuro. So if you want to know about my Final Fantasy stuff, you can find me there.
Anna, go for it. Give me some socials.
I am on just about everything as Angel Darkfire with the middle A missing.
Tobias.
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. You can just search me there. I'm sure Basil will put a link here in the show notes if you can't really search. But you can also find my other FF14 podcast on thirdimpactanime.com, Grand Line Reborn, in which our friend Bill is playing through 14 from the beginning, alongside me reading One Piece from the very beginning.
Oh, dang.
Certainly an adventure.
That's a fair trade.
Yeah.
It's a good show. Like, if you need a podcast to listen to besides ours, that is, of course, the one I'm going to tell folks, because it's an interesting story where you get to learn how Tobias is growing as a One Piece fan and Bill is growing as a Final Fantasy XIV fan. It's a neat journey, and they're both taking it, and it's a good time. You can find all my stuff at It's Basil Time. I do post on Twitter, but I post way more now on Blue Sky. So if you want all my pet pictures, then follow my Blue Sky. Also, if you listen to Final Fantasy XIV, post more about 14 on Blue Sky. It has been kind of weird. All of my anime friends all moved over to Blue Sky, but a lot of my 14 folks all stayed on Twitter. I'm like, do both. Just cross post. I don't care. I really wish Twitter's APIs were not so stupid now, and you could just post one to the other and not have to worry about it too bad. But whatever, you can't help it. I also do streams on Twitch at It's Basil Time. I mostly do retro games. Like, for example, right now I'm playing through Illusion of Gaia, which is an old Enix game for the Super Nintendo. So if you want to play all the games that like Squaresoft and Enix did before they became Square Enix, that's what I've been playing lately. So, yeah, I think that is it. That is all the things. So never forget, until next time, you take the Bone Dragon up north.